welcome to another broadcast of The Curious Mind of Raquel Carter. I am your favorite mermaid mystic. How have you been, darlings? I hope that you're having a lovely day. What our video is going to be all about today is I wasn't going to do any channeling on the Epstein files and the government and the apparent cover-up and all of that sort of thing. I just feel it's quite a bit of noise. But then I felt spirit pull on me and tugging at my heartstrings to approach this from a new perspective, a collective consciousness perspective, that perhaps we can derive some benefit from it in the way that would be different than what the mainstream media or the outlets on YouTube or just these voices that are very prominent in the culture currently are not always necessarily true, though. Do you understand? Because we're approaching it because we are high vibrational beings, all of the people that are on my channel as a community, Stillwater Petticoat Society. Anyway, so what I was going to do is I'm going to reference several questions that I posed to Spirit, and then I'm going to channel what comes in, but I'm also going to give a little snippet of things that were coming in all through the week, where I was feeling very prompted, and every day I kept saying, no, I really don't want to get involved in that, Spirit, but this is me once again opening my throat chakra and being able to share my gifts in a way that is beneficial to humanity, not contributing to the voices out there that are actually not. And I'm not saying that to be judgmental, but it's stating an actual fact, is that so many people out there in the news, in the world, okay, they might have large platforms, okay, but that their society is crumbling to the ground, okay. They are actually disintegrating as we watch in real time. And this is what's happening is you can see even these people that have big voices on, like, for example, YouTube, everyone's going, they're leaning more towards YouTube and that freedom content that they can put on YouTube. However, just because they have large numbers still does not mean that they are the voice of reason or that they are the voice of truth. Do you understand? Because they've been built up, many of these have been built up on strategies and forums that are no longer working in this society. And we are seeing it clear as day that they're falling, they are disemboweling, they will become obsolete. No one will listen to these people that have these massive platforms because either they've not been true to the nature, they're still following the old world paradigm, which is the archetype of patriarchy, religion, which is very, very, if you look at many of the based, I'm not saying that that's not something that's negative. Do you understand? Something can be true and not true at the same time. There can be truth in something, but not complete truth in something. There can be goodness, but there can also be that this is the juxtaposition of spirituality, understanding that it's not all or nothing. It's not all or nothing. It's never that simplistic. I mean, yes, the world is simplistic, but what I'm saying is most of the time people are clinging to this old paradigm of structure of religion being behind the politics, okay? And I understand that. Don't mistake me for understanding that I'm not a spiritual, divinely loving person, because I am. We all are, okay? But what I mean by this is that this is one of the greatest messages that had been coming in, and I wanted to share this before I get into the channel, is that look at the proximity of people that, and I think I've spoken about this before, is the people that were allegiant to, say, for example, whichever, maybe you were allegiant to Biden, maybe you were allegiant to Trump, depending on whoever was in office at that time, okay? So there's a structure around that because it's in God we trust, okay? The foundation of that is God, okay? This is loads of times why people have such an issue with, well, we're American. We don't worship like, for example, if you say, oh, I love England, and, we have King Charles, and we have, kings and queens and monarchy. And people are saying, oh, well, we don't worship kings. We worship God, okay? But the idolatry, the problem with humanity at this point is because it's become so fractured that people do not even know what they believe anymore. If you were to collectively try and settle these people down, these people that have these large platforms, they still are shouting from the rooftops from an old paradigm, because at the end of the day, the reason that they've lost their absolute mind is because they're still working from a paradigm that is religious based, which means there's always someone externally outside of yourself that is more powerful than you as a God being, okay? No, there's not. We're all gods, okay? No, there's not 50 gazillion little gods running around. That's not what I mean. Collectively, we are a one consciousness, okay? That's what religion was meant to be about, okay? But because patriarchy and the masculine flipped everything on its head, do you understand? So they inverted, basically, if you want to look at it from that perspective, that Satan inverted everything, okay? I mean, if you want to use Satan, I don't necessarily believe in a Satan. I think it's an excuse for religious people and for the hierarchy of control and government, which this is where that was based off of, right? Royalty, the patriarchy of being able to control the narrative and control the people as a whole. And so if you demobilize and you break the structure and fracture it, okay, through disassembling all of these different particles, you will no longer know what your sovereignty is. And this is what's happening straight away with Trump, because what happened was when people began to believe, okay, so they started to awaken. We're in the age of Aquarius now. So the old world it's dying, okay? And these people like on the YouTube that are absolutely losing their mind, and they're like, well, we voted for Trump and we wanted this and we wanted that. Once again, these people that were struggling, okay, they're everyone's, if you're looking outside yourself, it's idolatry, okay? So even if you think that that's doing something good, that's not to say it's completely and utterly terrible. But what you're doing is once again putting your faith and trust in someone outside of yourself, which is exactly what religions do. That's how they are based. They were structured around that mentality of don't trust yourself, you must trust someone outside of you. Because if we were to all trust ourselves, what would happen? It would have disintegrated. There would have been no structure. There would have been no government. We could all be sovereign beings and trust ourselves to take care of ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to heal ourselves, to sustain ourselves in love and harmony and community and everything based in that beautiful togetherness, okay, of love. And it was diluted and separated, and it was strategically done this way on purpose, okay? And so what happened was the people that came from religion, okay, still all of these religious people. Now, listen, I love religious people, don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to explain to you in a teachable manner is that what happens is these people that feel that you have to have, because that's how churches are based. They're based on, because it's so fear driven, okay? Religion is very fear based. It's not faith based. People say that, but once again, what did I say? The devil, quote unquote, this imaginary thing, is there light and darkness? Absolutely, there's light and darkness. But let's not fool ourselves. people are not going to want to hear this. But the truth of the matter is, you can't spell truth without it saying hurt. You know, that's the old saying, right? You can't spell truth without it having hurt in it. And so it's hurting people's feelings that when people speak the truth about religions, because they are more fear-based than they are faith-based. And it was structurally designed that way on purpose, because the government and this hierarchy, this patriarchy, which we undoubtedly as women, the feminine, we created the patriarchy. So it's not like I'm like downing the patriarchy. What I'm trying to explain to you is why we chose to come and embody this, our lives, and this way is because I do believe that we are now at a time, the age of Aquarius, where we have to be the ones, the women, to reawaken, okay? And so disassemble the patriarchy once again. And so these people that are very religious based, confirmation there, were very much leaning towards someone. They needed someone. Okay, so if I can't believe these, pastors or these people that have disappointed them, this, all of these people that they put on a pedestal, which they should never do. You should never put a prophet or a king or a leader or a president or your Relief Society president or friends or your husband or your family or your mate. You should never put anyone on a pedestal. And whether you want to believe it or not, you are doing that. It's idolatry when you put someone else above your own needs, okay? And now, I know that you are very well endowed in understanding what I'm talking about, because this is very deep stuff. And people that are on surface level or have not done the internal healing and shadow work and all of that, they're not going to understand what I'm saying. It's going to be foreign to them. But so let me get back to the structure of the religion. Okay, so what happens is they had to move from one structure, right? So, and so the president was able, Trump I'm speaking of currently, was able to use that disguise. Okay, let's just call it, because we're all playing a part here in the stage of life. Okay, this is all an act. Okay, the president playing his part. Okay, and so the mask that he put on to start yielding the people of religion, because religious people are emotionally based. Okay, this is how you get people. You remove all of the structure beneath a person. Okay, if you disassemble and you disembowel them for so long and you break them down mentally, emotionally, through television, programming, all of these different things, okay, and you make them rely on religion. So basically they're propping up a religion, an organization, okay? And what happens is there's hierarchy. So you believe that, the prophet of the Mormon church is, that's who we should listen to, and then of course we should listen to the president of the United States. And then we should listen to, the King of England. And then we should listen to the Pope. And then we should listen to, whatever, it keeps going on and on. That you're still leaning into someone else. And then what happens, the structure is broken, because eventually you're going to have to resurrect, which means you are Jesus, right? So every person is the aspect of Jesus. So you must resurrect, which means you must find the true notion of who you are, which is a conscious being, right? And you're living a physical life here on earth. And so when that happens, it's once again breaking down that you cannot rely on other people. You cannot trust government. So when we'll move from religion and we follow this pastor or until they disappoint us, right? Because everyone will always disappoint you, darling, because you're leaning onto them and not your own understanding. So when you are fear-based, and you're relying and you have faith, because you've built faith as the churches teach, build your faith in this pastor or this religion, okay, this doctrine. What happens then when you lean and you go over to, for example, Trump used loads of emotion And I mean, it's strategic. It's not, he didn't do anything bad. I'm sure that he believes loads of the things that he says, right? And I'm sure that he has many beautiful qualities. We all have beautiful qualities because we're all of the divine, okay? But we're frail, we have frailties, we're human beings. And so when these religious people, then they thrust their trust onto this president, he's going to save us, right? So you're always looking outside of yourself for someone to save you, which is asinine, because no one's ever going to save you but you. No one. And so source, your higher, like I call it my mermaid inner being, which is the higher elevated access of us individuals, right? It's the higher aspect of us. It's the consciousness of us. We know intuitively from behind the veil that we must save ourselves, and we will ultimately, we set ourselves up to do that. And so when people are leaving religion and they have all their faith and trust that this is what's going to happen and he's going to do this for us, he's going to rectify these Epstein files for us, and he's going to help. So what people have done is put their trust in the president, and you can't do that. Once again, this is our higher collective consciousness saying, okay, so now what we're going to have to do, because everyone, they still are not going unto themselves. They're clinging from one religion or one base, and then they're going to this, and then they'll go to a celebrity, and then they'll go to a Candace Owens, and then they'll go to a Joe Rogan, and then they'll go to a Tucker Carlson, and then they'll go to a Fox News, and then they'll go to all these different things, people, and it's like, no, I know it sounds lovely on the outside, and you're thinking, oh, I really like what this person's saying, even with me. If your heart doesn't resonate with it, don't listen to me, okay? You always, first and foremost, I advocate for selfishness. Focus and trust in yourself. Always, always, always. Because we're humans, and every human being has frailties. We all have frailties. We're not meant to be like that for everyone. And when you can realize that no government's going to save you, your mommy and daddy aren't going to save you, your parents aren't going to save you, the healthcare system isn't going to save you, no one cares, okay? And in the sense that they shouldn't care. You should be the one caring and not putting your trust and faith outside of yourself. You are more than capable. You came here knowing that you were more than capable. You hit the ground running. That's why you were born in this era. But we are taught and learned out of that behavior, especially with people, especially with women that were taught in religion, okay? We were taught to trust in other people. No, trust in your mommy and daddy. Well, what if you have a narcissistic parent? Then you're distorted. Then you have to unwire that. Then you have to untangle that. Then you have to do shadow work on that. What if you had all of these things that happened to you in your life, okay? Then you have to untangle all of that. So it's so important to rely on self. Women are being asked to become dependent on self. Not that we don't love patriarchy, but if they can't rise to our frequency, they have to go. Okay, because we're being asked by Spirit to create this independence for ourselves so that we can get back to knowing that we are sovereign beings. And women are the ones that allow, we were born that way. We allowed this to happen. But now it's a new age, a new dawn has come. And so the important thing is not to put your faith and trust in President Trump. I mean, I'm sure there's loads of people. I mean, my entire family, everyone loves Trump here in my family, you know, and And that's perfectly fine. But I don't worship. I don't care about what anyone else is doing. I didn't care about what the government was doing when we had the COVID shot. I didn't, I call it the Black Plague. But I don't care what anyone's doing. And it doesn't affect us as long as we are sovereign beings and we trust self. Nothing can penetrate us because we're in a new era. We're in a new world. We are in a new world. And you can see it collapsing right in front of your eyes. People are absolutely losing their mind. They're going bonkers. They're going mad. Darling, they're going mad. They can't handle it. And it's like, yeah, but why did you think that the structure was going to boist you up? And this is what's happening because religion is dying. It is crumbling. And it says, I mean, even religious Christian people, I mean, if you followed the King James, they talk about, this is what's going to happen. It's metaphorically, darling. There's no rapture coming. The rapture is that you will come unto yourself and you will resurrect and you will know that you are a sovereign being. You will know of the trueness of the nature of who you are, not what people have told you that you are, not what a Bible said. It was all inverted on purpose to confuse the people. And this is what is happening. People are recognizing, oh, this is wrong. Like, this is wrong. This doesn't feel good in my body. This is wrong. Why is this happening? And this is why, because you have to be pushed to because human beings, it's so ingrained in us that we don't want to change. Like we don't like to do it. It's uncomfortable. And so we will try to navigate as best we can for as long as we can until we have just had it up to here and we make a change. This is what happens. Now, obviously, if you listen to my beliefs and stuff, it will naturally change you from your subconscious mind. But for the majority of human beings on the earth at this time and age, they will be pushed to change. And this situation with Epstein has pushed people to change because now they realize, wait, this is not going out the way that I thought it was. I thought it was going to work completely different than this. This is not the person I voted for. What's going on here? And it's like, but why did you expect something of him when you should not expect anything of someone else? Why? And majority of the time is because it's an unhealed version. There's trauma somewhere in someone. If you have that much anger and rage and resentment, and you're projecting it onto a man that doesn't even know you, if you walk down the street, he wouldn't offer you a sandwich, darling. I'm sorry to be so blunt and I'm not carefree, but I'm explaining to you, stop. People need and must stop relying on government and all of these different things to make them feel good, whether that's you have an addiction, whether that's you have an eating addiction, or you have a substance addiction, any sort of thing that is not bringing you to rise in your frequency, you regress. So, I used to hear my friend used to say when I was a Mormon, because I told you that I grew up Pentecostal, okay, the Holy Rollers and all of that. And like the Joel Osteen, and anyway, so I grew up that way until I was 17. And then I joined the Mormon church, and I was a Mormon, and I did everything Mormon. Like I was like straight-laced Mormon, let me tell you. And I used to always hear my one friend say, I mean, she comes from a long lineage of Mormons and, from the pioneers and all of that sort of thing. She'd say, oh, you can't pray up. You can't pray up so basically, and that's true in the sense that, you must meditate every day. You must be in alignment every single day. You can't do it one time and then you think, it's just like working out. You can't work out and say, okay, now I'm good for like 10 years or whatever. Like, and this is how the ego seeps back in. And especially with religious people, because they're using all of these totems and these emblems and these notions of idolatry, that they think that that's keeping them close to God, you know, and it's not. Literally, and I've told this to people many times, and I'm not trying to sound like, you know, boastful or anything, but I'm saying, you know, it's effort. You've got to work for it. Working for it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, by the sweat of your brow. You understand? I want you to realize that. And now I know it's been 30 minutes, but we're going to get into the channeling. And so now I'm starting to sweat. And so I'm wondering why that is, because, you know, maybe it's something spiritual that I need to know. But anyway, so I posed several of the questions, and you'll have to pardon me, darlings, because I'm going to read. Okay, so I'm going to read each one, and then I'm going to go through, and I'm going to channel that and just see if something else comes up, and we'll go from there, okay? So the first question that I wanted to ask is, what truth is hidden beneath the surface of government that the collective is now ready to see? The next question is, why is Mr. Trump seemingly at a flip, and he seems to be out of form with his patriots? The next one is, what is the spiritual purpose behind the exposure of the Epstein files? And are the revelations a distraction from something deeper? And how can we transmute our feelings of betrayal, rage, and grief? What are the karmic lessons? Okay. And so I'm going to get, if you'll give me a moment, I'm going to settle myself, and it will take me a moment to get into my channeling, okay? So the first thing that's coming through is, I don't know why, but there's a song that's called, She's Got a Way About, She's Got a Way About Her. Is that a Billy Joel song? She's got a way. Okay, so it's representing to me, she's got a way about her. Spirit, what does that mean? What does that have to do with the president, Mr. Trump? And why is he flipping with the Epstein files? I want to understand that. Why is he flipping and seemingly not like he normally would be with his patriots? Okay, so I'm hearing the patriots, spirit is trying to show, source, the collective, the universe, God, the great creator, is trying to show people that you have lived in a box for entirely too long. You live in a square box and you think this is how life is, and outside of that box, what is a whole nother world? Oh, okay. So I'm being shown. Oh, okay. So I'm being shown. You know, like in the past, how I would hear this when I was younger. I've heard this in my life. Okay, is that if you put a chain on an elephant's foot when it's tiny, right, like from the circus, and you keep it there for its whole life, right? As it grows, it will never try to break the chain because it believes that it can't go anywhere. It's been taught that. Okay, so, oh my God. Okay, so, and I've also heard, for example, wasn't there like some comparison? Spirit, what are you trying to say about that? Because the mouse and the elephant, why am I seeing that? The mouse and the elephant. Oh, okay. So the elephant represents something. Oh, okay. Okay, so the elephant represents large, right? Enormous, big, massive, which this is the government. Okay, so remember what I was talking about prior to this? I was saying that everything from like devil, satanic, or whatever, if you want to use that, we're going to just go with devil, okay? Everything was inverted, right? So everything that was good was made to look bad, and everything that was bad was made to look good. It was the way of trickery. That's why they call him the great trickster, okay? He knew everything, and so he knew all of the tricks to use. Like, how could I flip this on its head? Oh, okay, this is what I'll do. So, like, for example, 666 is really one of the most beautiful numbers. But in the Bible, how they use this to distort the truth, okay? Because remember, I've taught to you that everything in the Bible, especially I'm talking about the King James Version, do you understand? It's a metaphor. It's a psychological event. You are everyone. You are Mary Magdalene. It's a state of consciousness. You are Jesus. You are Christ. You are Peter. You are Paul. You are James. You are John. Okay? You are Judas. Judas was the self-betrayal. That's what that means. Self-betrayal. When you betrayed yourself, that is the representation of Judas. Okay, it was not literal, darlings. It was not literal. And so once you can get your mind around that, you can understand, oh my God, like it's a metaphor. That's why in some of the Bible stories, when we were little girls, and I remember used to thinking, why, this sounds absolutely ridiculous and bonkers and mad. What is going on? Like Jonah was in the belly of a whale for how long? And just the things that didn't sound normal. They were just so like ridiculously made up. And it's like, okay, so but you'll believe that, but then you'll believe this too on top of it. And that doesn't really make sense. It never jived with me, even from a little girl. It did not coordinate. It did not correlate for me. And so I was constantly asking questions to the patriarchs. And that's why I've never been liked, especially when I was little. I mean, I'm telling you, 8, 9 years old, I was asking my pastor. I would want to stay after. Anyway, so let me get back to it. So the elephant represents the government. I mean, the elephant represents the people, okay? And so everything being inverted, and then the government is the little mouse, right? And so, but because the elephant was trained, right? Because this is what I'm getting in this is how I can see it in the picture. The elephant was trained to believe that they had no power, but they're actually mightier than the one little mouse. And this is what like government and this small portion of, we think that everything that rules the world, like these couple of families, all of these families with these big names, they rule the world. Okay, the only reason is because we were taught to believe that they rule the world. They really don't. There's more of us than there are of them. Do you understand? And so if we could collectively, so what you're saying is, okay, so once we learn to retrain our minds to believe that we hold all of the power, one person, how many times have I told you this? And I've taught you this before. One person in alignment with consciousness, Christ consciousness, is more powerful than millions who are not. So if we were to transmute all of this anger, all of this resentment, all of these different things, and start working internally and purifying self, because I feel like this is what Spirit's saying, purify self. Women have the massive ability to do this, especially because we hold all the power. We hold all the power. We're the ones that birth all of the new generations. Do you understand? We hold all the power. So if we begin to take that power back, and that doesn't mean going around and being hostile and unkind. It's doing it gracefully. Follow the rhythm because I'm hearing that. Follow the rhythm and flow of nature. Oh, okay. So it's really coming back to, is it really have to do with it's coming back to the seasons. I'm hearing follow the flow. If you look at nature, nature shows you how to live. Live in seasons, slow, evaluate. When we're not so possessed in, oh my God, we've got to work, I've got to go do my 9 to 5, because this is what's happening. It's causing people to reawaken, and they're thinking, I'm not going to go do a job. Like, why am I doing this for this couple of little people? And they don't even listen to me anyway. So why should I give all my energy and my life, sweat and brow, to all of this people outside of me that has this construction that's, they've got all the money, they've got all the power, they've got all the prestige, they've got all the popularity, they've got all the, and it seems like they're happy, but this is what's happening. It's inverted. It's not really. So how many times have you seen that, darlings? Is that what Spirit's saying is, how many times? It's an illusion. It's absolutely, I mean, think of it as the biggest trickster in the book. The biggest trickster in the book is going to flip everything on its head. So, like for example, for me, I was taught my whole life, I knew I had gifts. Since I was a little girl, I had seen, I knew people were going to die, way before they did. I saw current events happening. I saw all of these things. And I was completely always taught, that's demonic, that's demonic, that's demonic, you're demonic, you're demonic. You need to be put in a mental hospital if you start. So it began slowly, like the elephant and the mouse, okay? You slowly start to believe. And this is what happens. This is why narcissism, is that why? This is why narcissism is so big, because what happens is you have to learn and figure out how to survive, right? Because I don't know why I'm doing this. Is it because I'm thinking my crystal ball, that I need my crystal ball? So everything that is inverted, we have to disassemble. We have to remember, okay, if this is how it appears, this might actually be how it is. So what's happening with the Epstein files is beautiful. Okay, this is a positive thing, because what's happening is it's making people reflect on their own internal thing. Okay, why is this? Well, this is what, okay, so I'm hearing Spirit say, no, this is what we're being called to show forth. That if this person that so many people put their love and stock in, okay, that we're doing this and that's what their job is. Do you understand, darling? Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal that Mr. Trump, used favor with religion to try to get people, who the most famous person is Jesus and God or whatever. That's his role. He's playing his part, just like you're playing your part. I'm playing my part. I'm playing my part. I'm wearing these old clothes to spread a message. I'm playing my part on the stage. Okay. We're all doing it in our little lives. But collectively, we make up the whole portion. We're each beautiful in our own way. And so it's so paramount that we see that the charade that we've seen with the Epstein files is that, first of all, okay, so I'm feeling called, so I'm feeling confirmation there, Mad Libs. Was Mad Libs, for example, the where you see a sentence and you fill it in, we're going to fill this in with an adverb or an adjective or whatever. This is a passive sentence, let's make it active or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what I'm seeing. The Epstein files are an ad lib. Okay, but was the file real? Spirit, what is the file, or was the file real? I mean, I swallowed and I heard hoax. Hoax in the sense that, why am I doing that? Hoax in the sense that not all that glitters is gold. Why do I keep hearing that song? She's got a way about her. Don't know what it is. Da-da-da-da-da, but I can't live without her. What is that, Spirit? What are you saying there? I don't understand it. Okay, so I heard Rocket Man. Okay, that's Elton John. Rocket Man. Why Rocket Man? Okay, are you getting me to the Rocket Man would be airplane? Would be a rocket though. Okay, I saw you know, like fireworks, how you shoot it up. Like you shoot the fireworks up and there's okay. Okie dokie. Okay, so you know, like bottle rockets, it doesn't have like a paper on it and it's got the long stick and you put it in a bottle. And yeah, it's so, and then when it shoots up, it's like all the little paper bits go everywhere, doesn't it? It's got this is what happened to the list. Okay, I believe that yes, there was a list. All that glitters is not gold. Because I'm going back to that. What does that mean? All that glitters is not gold. Okay, so the paper trail of all of the files, all of the stuff was destroyed. Okay, so is that what you mean by, why am I seeing button, around button? Pushing around button. Pushing the round button. What did you call those things? The red button, and you push it and it's like, did you get them like a staple store or something? Pushing the red button. Pushing the red button. Oh, red button. Oh my God. Okay. So now I'm seeing, you know, that there's a button that I think you could purchase it like it's at Staples or something, and it made a noise, and it was a big red button. It's like plastic or whatever. Okay, so red represents oh, pushing their buttons. Okay, so red represents Republican, right? Right? Okay, and this is a way for that inversion. Remember I was talking about. And you know how like in psychology you hear, don't let people know what your buttons are so they can't push them. They know, what do you mean they? The inverted opposite, which would be the Democrats, right? It's like it's like as old as time, because I'm seeing once again the book, the dusting off, that's always old as time. To push their buttons, and this will work because it's an emotional thing. So push their buttons to make them emotionally distraught about this. Oh, so is that what you're saying, that this is distracting from something else? Absolutely, absolutely. Distracting from something else. It's always worked, but what's happening is I feel like it's imploding, because I keep seeing like, you know how like a combustion that just is not ready, it's not exploded yet, like it's just combusting, and it's rising. Yeah, because like when I was, okay, so I'm seeing this when I was a mermaid, okay, at Wikiwatchy, you know, we would be on we would be down in the chamber, okay? And so we'd have to take in a certain amount of air to like, right, to fill our lungs, fill them, because, but then we'd have to regulate. So we had to know exactly how much air to let out, to release, and how much to hold in for that capacity so that we would balance, okay? And if you took in too much air, right? Because it was, like I said, it was in the chamber. So it was, you know, one of a hose. If you took in too much and then you let go of the hose, right? You would immediately shoot to the surface, which you could get bends. Oh, okay. And what happens with bends? Oh my God. So so what you're saying, Spirit, is if people rise too quickly, it will mentally incapacitate them. Because what happens is, if you rise to the surface too quickly, and any scuba diver whatever knows this, if you take in too much and you rise too fast, you'll get bends, and it will mentally destroy your brain. Like, you'll become incompetent. Do you understand? Unwell in the mind. Okay, so I've seen this happen, darlings, and that's what would happen that's what would happen if people got too much of the truth too fast, and then it would incapacitate their mind to receive and to transform. Yeah, and to transmute what is happening, because everyone is rising to consciousness. So it's like the universe collectively knows individually, we have to do this. We can't do it super fast with everyone, because everyone would just absolutely go insane, and we can't have chaos. Okay, but is it being done on purpose? Oh, okay. It's not being done on purpose, but this is causing the people to rise in the way that will help them to navigate. So say, for example, one person might be, I know exactly where I'm going and I know how to get there, okay? They might have their map and they know exactly, and I'm not going to deter from this, and But like I said in the beginning, right? Most human beings don't do that, because they can't handle change like that, okay? So what Spirit, for each individual person, but collectively we're all working towards one thing, right? To become one collective consciousness, okay? One in unison. This is what religion's meant by God, is all in one. God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost, that's the Trinity, darlings. It's all. It's spirit, body, and mind. All is one collective consciousness. So what happens is, in order to raise the entire vibration of the whole world and the universe as one, some individuals have to go there slower. They have to navigate. They might have to go over here and, I'm going to believe in this president. And then it has to be used. There has to be lessons used from the world for each person collectively, individually, and as well as collectively, to make it work. So there's loads of people that are going to be distraught about the Epstein list, okay, because of what happened in their childhood. They might be triggered by, you know what, this is a masculine that's getting away with, you know, doing harmful things. So they might use that, and they're projecting that onto the president. Now, this is not really he's playing his part, understandably, but in regards to, if you're looking at you being a sovereign being, no one has control over you. No one does. Not the president. You're allowing him to have control over you if you're getting angry, or if you see a YouTuber and you don't like what they're saying and you get all distraught and you start going, you know, haphazardly in the comments. Now, remember, that's the karmic retribution you'll have to account for, because we all are working on our individuality, aren't we? And we all have to be accountable and responsible for ourselves. Not anything else, not anyone else, not our children, not our spouse, not our mate, not our best mate, not our girlfriend, not our best friend, not our mom, not our dad, not grandpa. Okay, you get the point? Yeah, I know, Raquel, I know. But you are accountable for you. So whatever you're putting out, you will get it tenfold. So just always remember that. Oh, what can I do? If I'm projecting my anger onto Mr. Trump, or the Epstein list, or Mr. Epstein, or the Miss Maxwell gal or lass or whatever, that's on you. That's on you. And I know you say, oh, well, so does that mean everyone gets to get? No, everyone will have their reckoning. That's how karma is. No one gets away with anything. I don't care how much it looks like, oh, they've gotten away with. No, they haven't. No, no one gets away with nothing. And listen, if you think so, you don't know everything, darling. You don't know what's going on in someone's mind. You don't know what's happening. And if it feels as though there was never retribution and there was never the karmic retribution for that particular person or whatever, just know that there is and there always will be. So just knowing that takes the relief off of us as individuals. Like, say your sister or your brother or your uncle or your mom or your pastor or someone did something just absolutely heinous to you. Like I could say, oh, something heinous that happened to me. Yeah, a man and his girlfriend, they brutally shot my son and killed him. And do I have anger towards him? No, I really don't. I'm very indifferent because everyone's playing their part. And I know that's a really stretch for people. You have to be really, really highly elevated. And I know that you all are, to understand that kind of mindset, because that is immense freedom, that no one can do anything to you, nothing, ever. They have no power over you. And so when you're thriving, you're thriving when the Black Plague, I call it, the pandemic, when you're thriving, and you're thriving when other people are just having a really hard time, it's because it's your thoughts, because your thoughts is God, your own wonderful human imagination, just like Neville taught. I'm not teaching you anything that Neville, this is strictly coming from Neville, okay? God is your own wonderful human imagination. So how could anyone have any control, power, influence, anything over you? No one can do anything to you. And when women begin to remember that, not realize it, but remember that you are sovereign, the whole world wakes up. Because you're teaching your daughters, you're teaching your sons, because we are the mothers of the earth, okay? And I feel as though, is that it, Spirit? Because I feel as though that was a very beautiful message. So is this hiding a deeper, one last question, Spirit, before I close this out? What's the situation with the list, though? I mean, okay, so there was a list. Oh, confirmation there. Oh, okay, so I'm seeing the list, okay, and I'm seeing a lot of files, okay, loads of files. But I'm seeing it rooted, like branched off. And so, ancestry. Why am I seeing that? Ancestry. Ancestry. Grains of sand. Like time through the hourglass. Isn't that a soap opera? Oh, okay, so did I hear that? Tick, tick, boom. Because I'm seeing a list that is like, so for example, how people had talked about the Sean Combs, like the Diddy the parties, the white parties. Okay, so you know how like some people would say, oh yeah, I went to the white party. And then other people, you would hear them say, oh, if you go upstairs, then that's a different part. Because I feel as though this is what the island was like. It was almost as if he had this, Mr. Epstein had this sort of, it's sort of like he had this little cluster, but he also had these other little clusters. So for example, if someone was on the list, they could have been into the seedy kind of like nefarious, terrible, dark things. But then there could have been someone else on the list too that was like, yeah, but they went for a real serious, like it was just they were going to, and it was completely, oh, okay, so I'm seeing Halloween mask. Okay, so what I feel as though is that Mr. Epstein would put on masks, not literally, figuratively. Okay, so he had masks for certain people, certain political people, certain foreign leaders, certain raunchy, disparaging people. He had different masks, and so he could manipulate that. So for example, he might have one where he was just literally raising funds and it was like a normal, like it was just normal. But then there was someone else on the flight log that was like, no, they're into the dark stuff. But because they're all there, the difference in him would be very difficult for Mr. President, Mr. Trump, and the people. I think he's, because I'm seeing him sort of like hand it off, like I don't have time for this nonsense. I think he's feeling as though it's not really super important, because he's like, I know that I was no part of that. Yes, did I know them? Yes, I did. But once again, I'm seeing that that's the mask that Epstein put on. Did they probably hear certain things? No. Okay, no. Didn't. Okay, so people would think, yeah, but wouldn't you have known? No, because let me tell you, because I'm seeing this. You know how like in, say for example, when you were in high school, okay, and you knew of people in school and you're like, listen, I know of them, but you've never seen them. Because like I knew of people that I spent time with, but they had a different mask on with me because they knew that like I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't go to parties, I was a church girl, I read my Bible at lunchtime. And so I never saw that version with that mask on. But then after I left high school and I graduated and I came back later, years later, to the school reunions, I happened to see someone in the corner and it was like, oh yeah, they've been doing that. They've been doing those drugs for years. They did them in high school. You didn't know? She was one of the, the trollops in school. And I'm like, what? I stayed the night at her house, Like, I borrowed clothes from her. We were lovely friends. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense to me. Because the mask that she showed me was she was clean and pure, was a virgin. She never smoked, never drank. She didn't go to parties. But then learning afterwards that, yeah, she did. She had that different side. So people are going to give you that different side of them. And this is what I'm feeling as though Mr. Trump, and I also feel there's something deeper that it's almost like I feel as though, because I'm seeing a chessboard, I feel as though, oh, okay. So you know how like, yeah, so that's what I feel as though happened with that list in the Epstein, because I know that there was pictures, there was a friendship, a cordial relationship with Mr. Trump and the Mr. Epstein, and all of that, and people are bringing that out and everything. Now, am I to say that he is completely clean and whistle and all of that? No, but do I feel as though I feel no energy towards Mr. Trump that there is nefarious situations going on? Do I believe there's things behind the scenes? Because I'm seeing like a black curtain that, oh, the magician. Okay, I'm seeing, what's that movie where Dorothy clicks her heels to go home? The Yellow Brick Road. And remember, he was maneuvering it, and then you realize like he was the one behind it. Isn't that the same movie? Wonderland? What's that movie? I've never seen the whole movie. I know that sounds terrible. People are like, I can't believe it, but I was sheltered as a child, I'm telling you. Wizardland? The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, right? Okay. Follow the Yellow Brick Road. Yellow. And then I'm seeing like Donald Trump's hair, yellow. Because I'm seeing like a rat trap, like a mice trap. And you know how like you gather, so you don't show all the, yeah, because I'm hearing like poker face. Or like when you're playing cards, you don't ever show them what you've got. I used to play cards when I was a kid all the time. Like I was really, really good. It was probably the witch in me coming out, because I needed my tarot, but I couldn't play tarot because my mom, was against it, and that was satanic. So that's probably why I play with my dad's playing cards. But when you're playing cards, right, you don't ever show your hand. And you also make them, oh, okay, so you make them think that you're not doing so good. And you draw them all in. Just like a rat trap, right? Keep your enemies close. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Is that what he's doing? Is he setting a big trap? Because then you know what happens is, you know how like they say, you let them do what they're gonna do, and then you make them think, right? That's what you do with your enemy. You make them think that you lost the hand of cards. Like you have, you got shit cards, right? You got terrible cards. But you really, really got like a flush, right? Isn't that what it's called, flush? But you don't act like it. You sort of act like, oh, I'm down and out, man. What are you talking about? This is terrible. And you play all those cards. You play those cards like, oh my God. Is this what Trump's doing? And he's acting frustrated, and he's playing them at their own game is what I think. I think he's doing all of this, like going on the tangents. He's playing a part. And this is what's going to happen is when you do that, and your enemies, right? Whoever the enemies are, if we're playing a part here, you allow them to just kind of like run amok, because now they think, ha 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 ha, I'm free. Look what's happening. Look what's happening. And then they start to get careless, and then they start to run free, don't they? Because you let them get a little bit, right? Because that's kind of what you do when you're setting a mouse trap and you want the mouse. You give a little bit. Let them get away with a little bit of cheese. And then you keep building it, and you bring them closer and closer and closer. And then you clamp down on all of them and take them all out. I think there's a bigger hand at play here. I might be wrong, But that's a beautiful note to leave on, isn't it? Because basically what this is all saying is, this is all about our sovereignty, our freedom, and how we learn to see these other people and to transmute everything, because once again, it goes back to us. Not putting your trust in someone else, trusting self, having your own sovereignty, being independent, sustaining yourself. Mother Nature will sustain you. You don't need other people. You don't need a political system. Oh, why did I say that? Because we won't need a political system. Oh my God, we won't need a political system. We're going to tend the earth ourselves. We're going to go back to how it was originally. We will govern self. That's what's going to happen. We're all going to live in communities, and we will govern self, and we will no longer need a government. It will disembowel. It will implode itself eventually. It's doing it now, right? This is so exciting, isn't it? Aren't you so excited? Because it feels so like, what a relief. Like, this is the optimistic, beautiful aspect of it, okay? And, you know, I've heard some people say, oh, how can you be, you know, so you're unrealistic. I know, I'm absolutely. Because love is joy, and joy and God, collective consciousness, Christ consciousness is love. That's all it is. It's love. Love. And so it is that man may have joy. It is that man may have joy. And if I can share a bit of joy, even when things seem really, really terrible, right? We all have a moment. We're humans. We all got frailties. We all have down days. But the objective here is for us to learn how to have freedom and love and joy. And that's how things were originally. And we will make the world once again. That makes me dewy-eyed. We will be once again like that. Through each one of us working together and individually, because it starts individually, okay? Remember, it always starts with self, because at the end of the day, darlings, we're all selfish beings. We were born that way, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad word, I promise you. It's not profanity when you say, oh, I advocate for selfishness, because at the end of the day, if you were to strip everything away for whatever you do in life, right, you're always going to come back to protecting self, okay? We always do it. If you take everything and you stripped all of the layers, we all are selfish, and that is a beautiful thing. And we must receive that and not think as we were taught that that's wrong, okay? Because what happens is when you become selfish, you become abundant. And that is the truth, because you can help and you will help other people. Because what we know, the old adage, right? You can't fill other people's cup if yours is depleted and there's nothing in yours. If yours is empty and your vessel is empty, you cannot fill another's. So we must always fill our own cup, and then so we will have enough to spare. We'll have enough to spare and enough to share, okay? And that's a little Dolly Parton quote. I want enough abundance to spare and enough to share. And I think that I will close on that, and I hope you derive benefit from this. And as always, I'm most affably yours until my next swim. Cheers, darlings. Toodle pip.